This is the Rugged Revival podcast. We are your go-to platform for championing independent artists and amplifying authentic music. Ronnie isn't here this week. Thank God for that. I'm only joking. We obviously miss him when he's not here sometimes. So we like to guess what he might be up to. Last time it was a penis enlargement that went wrong. So this time, I'm going to ask our guests, Race Ricketts is our guest this week. Race, what do you think Ronnie might be up to this week?
I don't know. If I had to guess, maybe he's got hung up at like a robbery at a Greg's. I don't know,
You know what? That's actually believable because he spends his life in Greg's, mate. So
Yeah.
I love that. That's kind of ruined the introduction anyway, for my part. Anyway, look, Ronnie, he can't be here, obviously. He's gutted, mainly because he is a massive fan of you, Race Ricketts, the man from the 940, Mr. Texas, Mr. Ricketts. How are you doing, mate? You're okay?
Doing well. Can't complain.
Yeah. You were saying earlier that it's raining in Texas for a change, or maybe not.
Little bit. Yeah. Well, at least the part I'm in right now. Yeah. I was driving up this morning to North Texas where my folks live, and it rained on me the whole way here. So this
Man.
might be the last little bit of rain before it starts getting, I say cold for Texas anyway, but
You might put a hoodie on maybe and keep your shorts on.
yeah, at least
Yeah.
a long sleeve shirt, if nothing else.
See, I'm in my house. It's, I say, minus 17 Fahrenheit here, which is like 0 degrees in England. Freezing cold, literally. I've got the radiators on, and I've still got like my outdoor clothes on in the house. So it's horrendous, mate. So yeah, stick to Texas, dude. It's much more pleasant, put it that way. But look, I appreciate you coming on the show. We wanted to talk to you for a long time. We've got a lot to cover, and a lot of questions that I want to ask you, man. So yeah, I think in homage to Ronnie, because he's a nosy git, and he normally likes to delve into like the family, personal background. So I'm going to try and be professional like he is, and try and do his opening segment. So yeah, man, want to kind of find out a bit about your family history, your upbringing in Texas. What was that like, mate?
Yeah, for sure. I'm from everybody, of course says they're from a small town, and I guess I'm no exception to that either. From a very small town in North Texas, kind of sandwiched in between the flat redness of West Texas and the slightly greener parts of the DFW area. I grew up in a town called Alney that's closer to the Texas-Oklahoma border than anywhere else, but grew up there in Alney, went to high school here, didn't leave until I went to college, but kind of didn't come really from a musical family. I mean, my dad worked in still works in an aluminum mill. My mom was a elementary school teacher for her whole career. My brother's a firefighter now for Fort Worth Fire Department, where y'all were not too long ago.
Awesome.
And I was the one that, took to the artistic side of things, I guess, and learned how to pick guitar when I was about 7th, 8th grade, 12, 13 years old, somewhere around there. Alongside that, I got into acting at a very young age. Like, I was a song and dance man, did plays and musicals since, I was a kid, and that's what I went to college for.
Wow.
I was training to be an actor, and if COVID never happened, the plan initially was to move with my old roommates to New York and try and make a hand of it up there. And then, of course, the world shut down, and I had all of these songs in my back pocket that I had just been sitting on throughout my time in school that I had never done anything with. It was just a fun, good, therapeutic outlet. Like, I think a lot of people start writing songs, and had nothing else to do when the world shut down except sit inside with my best friend at the time and just record songs and write and see what happens. And then when things started loosening up in the States a little bit, my entire final semester of college, I was just looking for any open mic, uh, little cheap free gig up and down I-35 that stretches all the way up and down Oklahoma, Texas, and even further north and south. Just finding any place that I could play a few songs or play for an hour just to see if there was anything there. If I had anything good that people wanted to hear or enjoyed, or whether I needed to stick to find a day job. And so I just kind of bummed around Oklahoma and Texas until I finally moved back uh, to Texas and finally made the switch to making it full time after I worked the day job for a year. And
Yeah.
so just, yeah, went from picking, singing on a, sometimes in makeup, sometimes with a guitar. And then uh, instead of going to the big lights of New York, I landed for the smaller stage lights of the Texas, Southern music scene. So uh, it's been a pretty fun, kind of a weird turn of events and how things worked out. But I think it worked out exactly the way it was supposed to.
It was fate, mate. And it's funny you say that. We speak to so many artists and how COVID and that time kind of affected their trajectory, the plans that they had in their mind and how things have changed. But like you say, on the positive side, it's changed things for a really good way in terms of what you're doing on the music. And, it's really cool to see, from that respect.
Absolutely.
So we bumped into you guys at Stocktober. We haven't stopped talking about Stocktober.
Yeah.
I always think we need like a mic with a reverb on it to give it some justice.
There you go.
But I loved it. I wish we were in Fort Worth for a little bit longer. It was at the Rhinestone Saloon, a really cool venue I found just at the top of Fort Worth, I believe. Talk as if I know where things are, but I don't. I just make it up. But you guys were certainly on our top of our list. So when Talbot sent us the poster and the flyer as to who was going, we're like, holy shit, Race is going, Presley's going, a whole bunch of other people are going that we are just huge fans of. So we made a beeline to kind of hint to Talbot, we'd love to come. And, thank God we had that opportunity. And thank God we got such good friends that kind of put us up and let us come along to that. So they weren't just regular fans there. I found it a very odd venue because we don't have that sort of event regularly in the UK where you've got industry people, regular fans, a whole bunch of artists in one room, playing songs, swapping songs. And it was just such an incredible and fun night. So, loads of you guys were the people we wanted to see mainly. Was there anyone there that you wanted to kind of see particularly, or perhaps even speak to, that you haven't had a chance to catch up with?
Yeah, there was a lot of folks that, kind of like y'all, that we've only ever really interacted with over, a phone or through social media, this, that, and the other. And so, we didn't, we showed up. We didn't even bring instruments. We just kind of showed up with the intention of just kind of hanging out, seeing what was going on, saying hello to some folks we hadn't seen in a while. And so, it was cool to kindly, put faces to names that we'd been liking posts or, saying hell yeah to songs on people's Instagram and Facebook. So it was nice to, make a lot of new friends and then see a bunch of old ones too. As well as, Patrick with, the Country versus Metal podcast. Of course, Scott, Talbot's always been real good to us and done some photos for us in the past. And getting to meet you guys, y'all look like y'all were just having a blast, which, that
was the alcohol as well, mate.
So much fun to see. And on top of it, it was Nick's birthday that night. It was his 40th. So, everyone was in high spirits and quite literally high spirits, having a good time. Yeah, that was a really fun night. It was one of those where everyone was on the way home and looking at each other like, wow, it's 2 a.m. We didn't know we were going to be here this long. We didn't know it was our first time going. So we didn't know exactly what to expect. And it turned out to be a really fun night. you
This
know?
would be great. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we had so much fun, man. And it was interesting to see everybody go up. So you had Mint Steel kick things off with the night, and man, they were awesome. And then Zach Wilkerson, I think, was straight after. But I think a lot of people were talking about you guys going up, and I think mainly it was like I don't want to follow, Race and Presley and Nick and Niles as well. And they were like, who's going to be the person? And we were sat with Alex Rogers, who was staying with us that week as well.
Uh-huh.
And Alex, I think Steve might have done him a solid, I think, because the crowd were high after seeing you guys, and then Alex went on and had a great time, and yeah, it was just interesting to see how the dynamics in that kind of room kind of shifted as certain people went up.
For sure.
But we certainly wanted to catch up with you guys. Like you say, we speak to a lot of people on Instagram or socials, and we leave comments and DMs just to be friendly and to see people in person, because we typically do things like this. It's seeing people on a flat screen. It's weird to see three-dimensional people when you
For
go out,
sure.
and try and converse. So I said to Ronnie, we've got to go and speak to the guys before they leave. I think it would be gutted if we left Texas and hadn't, at least said hello. So we're glad we did. I think by the time we got round to seeing you, I'd certainly had a few bourbons and beers by that point.
Uh-huh.
So my conversation wasn't flowing as freely, but it's interesting you said it was Nick's birthday. That makes sense now, because I think he was quite quiet about that. So I made a beeline to stand next to Nick, 'cause I thought he looks pretty drunk. So if I stand next to Nick, I'm going to look less drunk. That was my tactic anyway.
Yeah. Once midnight hit, I remember less and less as, because I had gone out because I was behaving relatively well in the week up to that point. I was, clean, healthy living. And then that night happened, forgot it was Nick's birthday up until the day before. I was like, well, there's only one way this can go. And sure enough, it did. But yeah, I think you caught us. Everybody kind of went outside, out back, around behind the stage, because you could somewhat hear a little bit more and, stretch your legs a little bit. There weren't as many people, but yeah, standing next to Nick when you're feeling a little off your rocker can especially if he's in a very talkative mood, he can make you feel right at home. Nick's very, very adept at that.
Yeah, he was a great conversationalist, and we had a lot of fun talking to you guys. But we went home and we were talking about it for weeks on end. We'd love to come back next year. We've heard there might be certain people going that we'd love to see. So yeah, it just depends on whether Talbot wants us back or not. I think we probably annoyed him by the end of the week. A couple of British guys following around like, kids in Disneyland, as we were told it was like. But there you go. I absolutely love Texas. First time ever being there. Really first time properly in the States. I went when I was quite young, chasing girls back then, so I didn't really see much. But now I'm an old man going back and actually sightseeing and doing stuff. It was cool. So, exploring the various towns, cities, we were talking about Green Hall, New Braunfels and, Hill Country and all these amazing places. And, I love the food, as you can tell, the culture, the people, and obviously the music. But and I was reliably informed that the Dallas Cowboys apparently are the best football team in the world.
Man, don't bring it up. Gosh, it's
That's all subject.
it's I would say yes, but I mean the soreness. It's more of a numb subject. It's just one of those. I mean, they've never been good as long as I've been alive, so you just kind of learn to keep your expectations low.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's football teams over there that you just reluctantly are fans of, that you just learn to never get your hopes up and you'll never be disappointed. That's about how it is with the Cowboys.
Yeah,
So
I understand completely, mate. I'm a Man United fan here for soccer over here, and we had it good when I was young. We won absolutely everything for years, and then when my two boys came along, my oldest is 12 now, and yeah, we've gone terrible. It's been like a decade or more of just trash. And he's like, you had all the good times. I was like, it's one of the. So my expectations have definitely gone down. But yeah, we were fortunate enough to catch a game on the first day that we arrived. And it was at this place called Cosm, I think, which was really unique. It was like the Las Vegas Sphere Bowl type thing. And
okay.
so it was projected all around the entire kind of building. So it felt like you were actually at the game.
Wow.
Don't ask me who was playing. I was just like overwhelmed with
Uh-huh.
what was going on and trying to figure out, yeah, what American football was like. But I had a good time. Beers were
Good.
flowing, so were the food, and we watched some footy. So it was all good. So what are your sort of favorite hangout spots in Texas and kind of things to do, mate?
Man, I think my favorite, like, I could hem and haw on it all day. One that I always go back to in recent memory, it was, as, of course, you mentioned Niles, another good friend of mine and songwriter. He's out of San Marcos, Texas, so not too far from where y'all were at in New Braunfels. Just
Yeah,
north of there is San Marcos, Texas, where Niles lives. And, there's a bar on just off the square called Chances Are. Chances and then just the letter R. Just Chances Are is the name of this place. And I think they've got one in Lubbock and but the original, I say it's the original. I could be totally wrong, but I think it's there in San Marcos. And it's just a super divey uh bar where any musician in the area that may have had a show that night, everyone and it's a lot of the artists kind of end up at this one bar by the end of the night, not, it's never announced. It's just you always kind of see a bunch of those bands and songwriters down there, and it's always been just a blast. It's always been a good time. It's small, even when it's crowded, you don't mind. And there's very few places where, I can stand that. And it's always felt really nice. And I think Niles is a big part of that too. We have such a good time when we get to hang out and work together. But Chances is a great place. Um Melody Mountain Ranch, it's a place outside of Stephenville, kind of just southwest of Fort Worth. It's a big piece of property where Larry Joe Taylor throws his music festival uh, in April every year. And they do events throughout the year that we'll get invited out to come pick and sing on. And uh, it's just a really special place to me. A lot of great music, Texas music history from that place. And uh, Larry's always been super kind and good to us, uh, as well. That's another great one. Uh, those are probably always like my top 2 right
yeah.
now. I don't know if y'all ever stopped in a little Fort Worth gym that's there in the stockyards. White Elephant, the White Elephant Saloon
We
is
didn't get that far down, mate. No. Yeah, we would have loved to have spent more time down there because we wanted to do the stockyards, the cat, all the
mhm,
touristy stuff. But yeah, unfortunately not. That I've heard good stuff about like the White Elephant and the other bars, man. But yeah, we're gonna keep a list, I think, for next time we come back and go to the places that you guys tell us to go, and
for sure.
sometimes off the beaten track. I think they're the best ones to kind of
There you go. Go
hang
by
out at.
the locals' advice. There you
Yeah,
go.
definitely, mate. Absolutely. We stick out like a sore thumb when we go anywhere, anyway, in the States. So
Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny to go out there. But I suppose as a Texan, yourself, we're honorary Texans now. But
good.
I want to ask a fellow Texan, what's special about the state to you, and what does it mean to be a Texan?
Man, I think the easy answer is it certainly is. I mean, I can see how from an outsider's perspective, especially within the states itself, it can look very cultish. With it's a pride thing for sure. It's one of those things where growing up, uh, you're instilled from a very young age that it's a very special place. It's a place where people have a lot of pride being from. Uh, the music, especially being lucky enough to grow up listening to this kind of music, it only further instilled that kind of mindset. And, as cheesy as it sounds, there's really no other place like it in the States. I mean, it's so massive that you could split it up into 5 different states. You catch, you know, 3 or 4 completely different climates, uh, and weather biomes where depending on what part of the state you're in, I mean it really is kind of a miracle of how the lines got drawn where they did and how it's able to be this big and survive this long with that kind of pride and mindset. Yeah, I don't know. It's uh, I do know it's instilled from a very young age that and even folks that have moved away that I have friends that live all over the country now, and all your big hot spots, LA, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, uh and every time we talk, uh their accent slips back into conversation uh I'll mention a place I was at and they'll start talking about home and it's just it quite literally gets in your blood and it's a hard thing to shake if at all once it's in you. And I think that
Yeah,
goes for a lot of places. I just got lucky enough that I got to be from here,
yeah.
So uh and uh and with that said, welcome to the fold as honorary Texans yourself.
Thank you.
So yeah,
Yeah, appreciate that, sir. It's yeah, I loved it particularly, and I love the kind of proud, aspect of how people wanted to talk about the state, show you the places to go, and we don't often have that. I like that for England. I love England. Born, obviously bred here, and from London particularly, and I think you should be proud of where you come from, and try and instill that into the youth. I think it's kind of got lost in the younger kind of generation. I'm sounding like an old grandpa now, but
for sure. Well, and I think, we live in such turbulent times and it can get very hard to find bits and pieces of hope and positivity in the certain time that we live in. And that's kind of just a little piece of that pride, that sit up straight kind of being proud of where you're from is just one little thing to kind of hold on to lift spirits, in a way. And I think that's important to have.
completely agree, mate. And I think if anyone was to listen to your music, particularly, you can hear conversations about Texas happening throughout your various songs. So I love that particularly. And 940 is obviously one of the biggest hits that you've got. Would you mind if we play a little bit,
Oh, sure.
just for the listeners? So I think if we start there and start kind of going into the music. So let's. I'll try not to blast your ears too much, but let's give it a flash.
Yeah, it's calling mama and talking trash. Finish what you start. It's square-toed boots and Wrangler jeans and sleeves where you wear your heart. There ain't no stranger they don't call friend. Always take care of their own. They'll love you from Parker to Palo Pinto and boys from the 940.
Yeah, who doesn't want to hang out the boys from the 940, man? So, what? Obviously, that song's about your kind of home area, isn't
For
it?
sure. Yeah, it's a quite unromantic story of, how it got written. I was still living in Oklahoma at the time, right as I had graduated from college. And, just another night of songwriting. I can't remember. It might have just been a collection of songs I was listening to. I couldn't tell you what spurred me wanting to write something about my home neck of the woods of Texas, but there's so many songs about Texas, so it's one of those. It's really hard to make a good one if there's nothing quite new to say or a different way to say it. As songwriters, that's what we're chasing all the time, is trying to find a new way to say the same thing everybody said over and over. And um, there was never quite a dedicated song to my part of the state where I'm from. There's so many West Texas songs and, songs about little border towns and, Austin. And I was like, well, I, there's cool songs, but I mean, I can't relate, I want one for me. I want one for, for my people. And, just wrote that song. And, uh, a lot of it's based on, you know, my brother primarily. Just, I kind of wrote it with him as the main character almost in mind. And yeah, wrote that song, and uh it ended up being the one people wanted to hear at shows, and I finally had a really good opportunity to go record it and have just some of the best musicians in the state uh get to come play on it, and it just became kind of an anthem for my little corner of Texas. And even folks that have heard that song that really don't have any idea where it's at or where it's from, it's relatable. It's something, replace that number or counties or towns with, wherever they're at, and it's all speaking the same language. And I think that's what people really glean toward and really take from that song, which it's cool. I'm glad they kind of are able to understand what I'm talking about without ever having any you know, real information or recognition of where we're at. So, that's a cool thing. That's just how music is able to speak this, speak the same language, to different people.
Absolutely, mate. And like you say, you were talking about having kind of the best musicians play on that. The fiddle part is amazing. The opening part and
Yeah,
throughout, it's incredible, man.
that's Heather Stalling. That plays. Her and her husband Max Stalling. They are also just two fixtures of Texas music. Max is an amazing songwriter, and when him and Heather play together, it is, I mean, eyes glued to the TV set the entire time they're playing. They're two I would certainly recommend go checking out Max's music. He's one of the OGs, as you would say, as the kids would say. But uh, but yeah, Heather played fiddle on that. Lloyd Maines uh played steel on it. Just really got lucky with some of the players on that track, but it turned out really nice. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you're enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And yeah, you mentioned like I suppose dialing it back slightly. You mentioned kind of acting right at the beginning and kind of crossing over with music. So what came first? Was it music or was it acting or was it kind of running concurrent?
I would say acting started slightly earlier. I mean, I had been starting it since I was 10 years old, probably. It was one summer. I couldn't tell you where I was at in school, but it was a summer, and my mom uh, signed me up to go audition for this musical called The Sound of Music at this local theater. And I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, there's a bunch of people I don't know. I was like, I'd rather be, at home, running around with my friends, riding bikes, just being a kid. Uh, and then very quickly I fell in love with the stage, and all through high school. And it wasn't until about maybe 3-ish years later when I started kind of learning how to play guitar. So it came slightly before, but once that 3-year gap from about 10 to 13 caught up, it was at the same time. Playing guitar, I didn't start writing until I got to college, though. I was never too forgiving with myself at a young age with trying to write music. I'd get 2 lines in, tell myself it wasn't very good, or realize I was just trying to write a song that already existed by one of my favorite artists. So I really didn't have that. I didn't really flex that muscle or, hone that skill until I got to college, while both worlds were happening at the same time. And so songwriting, and I think the music, Texas music, country music, whatever you want to call it, was kind of a good tether to home while I was in school, because a lot of the friends that I met while I was there, I mean, you're hanging out with a bunch of art school kids from these major cities that, they have no idea who Jerry Jeff Walker is, or, they don't know they don't care who Guy Clark is or who the Turnpike Troubadours are. And so, they were kind of the music was always my tether to home, and songwriting always kind of kept me grounded, in a world that I didn't get that from. I didn't get that part of, the art I love so much from. Um, and so, yeah, and then, so by day, I'm in Shakespeare class trying to scan and go over the text, and by night I was, my freshman year at the 11th story of a big dorm room, trying to write a song about some girl that did me wrong, and it was horrible. I remember the first song that I ever kind of got through, and I think it's still sitting somewhere in my voice memos on my phone. That, gosh, it was horrible.
Play it.
For whatever reason, I found a certain catharsis in it. It was a lot of fun, free therapy in a way. And so, and then shortly after, it was one of those like happy accidents. You finish the song, and I didn't absolutely hate it, so I kept it and just, well, if we can do it once, surely we can do it again, and just kept going and going and going, and till it became comfortable. And I learned to be more forgiving with myself. And I think if I had never figured out how to let bad art exist, I don't think I would have ever quite figured out the formula that worked for me. So
Yeah. There's a lot of people like you in those positions back then, and you can't be Bob Dylan at the age of 10 or 13. There's some freaks out there that maybe are, but I think it's cool to have those voice memos still, and to look back and think, at least you were doing it. I think that's the main thing. Just do it. A lot of people don't do it. For the fear, like you say, just fear of rejection, or fear that people will hate it. And I think at least you're creating something, and the more you do things, the better you get.
And I think part of that too came like the more, like as I continued acting in college. I mean, between audition processes and a rehearsal process and making wrong choices trying to find character, you're wrong all the time until you're not, and until something finally clicks and you figure things out. And I think that helped a lot with the songwriting process, was that world of acting that I was in kind of allowed it followed over into the songwriting world, and both, I mean, it still affects how I enjoy writing songs and the music I enjoy listening to. How you're either telling a story or you're painting a picture. You got one of two. Those are, at least in my head, that's where I go when I want to try to put something on pen to paper. You're either painting a picture that someone else can look at in their heads, or you're trying to tell a story. And, that's where I always at least try to approach it from. And, acting for that long, it really helped shape and craft that in a way that I still enjoy and I still approach songwriting from. So I guess in a way, you do it that much, you can't help it. So it's just kind of there at this point. But
yeah, that's very cool, mate. And I think maybe your kind of the dates that you're talking about, your trajectory with the songwriting, and the expansion of how good you've got went quite rapid. And I think it was 2022, the Larry Joe's Taylor Songwriters Showcase. Was that the year that you won it?
Think so. Yeah, 2022.
Yeah.
That's where, going back to the sports conversation, if you kept your expectations low, you'll never be disappointed. I went in, when I got in and got to go play it, my only thinking was I'm just getting started back in Texas as a musician, and I really know nobody when it came to the music. I had no real connections, and this was a really good first opportunity to just go meet people and find a certain community, kind of there close to Stephenville, where I end up living now, and just go in, play your songs, meet some really cool people, and, see what happens. And sure enough, we saw what happened, and ended up winning. But, out of that, more than anything, I met, collaborators, songwriters, people that, band members that I met through that entire process. I met Presley Hale was I think she was the runner-up that year. That's how I met Presley, who we still work very close together nowadays. Nick Brumley, her partner, met him. He won the year previous, met Nick through that entire process. He plays bass with me now when I go to play full band shows. Niles won it the year before Nick did. So, I mean, met all of these people that, I consider my best friends and colleagues, through that showcase that otherwise, uh, I would still, I don't know. I owe a lot to that initial group and community that Larry fostered. And I think Larry Joe, that when I think of him, more so than the music, it's just how much he's given to young songwriters and the next guy up, the next band up. He's always been so good of just cultivating a community and lending those opportunities to, find your springboard. And yeah, that was kind of the real first initial spark that got me, uh, more than just a foot in the door, just let me kind of slide in, close it behind me, and just shut up and mind your business. But yeah, I can't explain just how awesome that was for me and how much I think I needed it at the time, looking back.
Yeah.
But yeah, met awesome people through that.
That's fantastic. And, I think when people hear the songs that you guys work on together, and I think it's quite a unique thing. Some people describe you as a supergroup, almost. I know labels could be quite a funny thing. But, what I like to see is, just how kind of the friendship between all of you kind of comes out in a positive way in the music. Seeing you guys, just conversing with you on that night, it's such a cool bunch of people, in general.
And also just so different. I mean, if it weren't for the music, it's one of those where I don't know if any of us, if we were just people with regular jobs out in the world, I couldn't pin if we would have ever found our way to each other or would have ever been friends if it weren't for the music. And, because Presley, she's been on the show. I mean, she's very sweet and, just bright. And, Nick is, Nick's just kind of going with the flow, and Niles is very sharp, very quick-witted, and he's kind of the eyes and ears that knows everything that's going on in a room at any given time, and he's still got a smile on his face, and I'm just kind of here, just kind of the long-haired hippie that can that can throw out a big word every now and again. So yeah, it's a really cool thing. We love going to the studio together, regardless of whose project it is we're working on. We've never done anything together as a, concentrated effort, all four of us making one project. It's always been for someone's individual song or, record. But it's because everyone's mind ticks so differently. The things and ideas we've able to come up with in a studio setting have been pretty cool that, I don't think any one person would have thought of on their own. So there's been some really cool moments that I think we all just complement each other's minds really well. And that just carries over into the music. And thankfully, we all understand each other when it comes to the music. And I think that's just why it works so well. It's easy at this point. It's just so easy.
Yeah, I love the way you describe everyone's personality, because that was going to be one of my questions. And I thought, everyone's different. And, even spending a week in Texas with Ronnie, that's probably the longest I've ever spent with Ronnie. And, I think he wanted to kill me at the end of it, because he's quite military precision and, he's on the ball. He wants to know everything before we do it. And I like to go with the flow. I just kind of ghost around the place, and he said, it's organized chaos from you. And, he gets really annoyed with me. But, everyone's different in that respect, and I think that's why it works. If you're all the same, it's boring, and you're not coming up with these ideas. But as a group then, mate, is there any plans to kind of release a song as a group, or will it be kind of contributing to individual projects?
I mean, I'm sure it'll happen eventually. We know it will at some point. We've never just said we're gonna go in, do this song, yet. I think Presley's we've all said, I mean, this has been the talk for gosh, over a year, I guess at this point. Everyone's just gotten so busy, but once Presley gets like her second EP out, I think Niles has got uh a record or another EP that's coming out either by the end of the year or early next year. I've got an album that'll be out, end of January, early February. So everyone's kind of crossing T's and dotting I's on their own projects right now, just trying to put the
Yeah.
bow on it. And it's always, oh, we'll do it. Hey, we'll do it in the spring when everyone's, got their stuff done, and the spring becomes, oh, in the summer when everyone's, yeah. So
Yeah.
it'll happen at some point. We've all had kind of ideas of what that would look like and what would be done for it. But so short answer, yes. Also short answer, I have no idea when. But it's certainly on everyone's mind, and it's on the list. So it'll happen eventually.
Oh, we can't wait to see, mate. I was trying to squeeze some gossip out of you, but you kind of gave in a little bit. So, yeah, thanks for indulging me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you've been smashing it this year particularly, but I suppose, working your way back through kind of your Spotify music collection, you've been releasing since 2022. I think the 940 album came out last year. There's one song in particular I was listening to today that made me laugh, is the Texas Barbecue song.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, I'm with you on that. I say that was the first thing we ever ate when we came over to Texas. It was Texas barbecue. And I love the fact you're professing your love of it while simultaneously shitting on other states who claim that their cuisine is the best in a nice way.
Oh, yeah. It's, I mean, a song like that doesn't exist. Guy Clark, like a lot of people I'm sure you've had on here, he's one of my favorite artists, and he's got a bunch of really good food songs. Another great artist, William Clark Green. He's got a really good chili song. And, there's so many good songs about food. I couldn't tell you again why I decided to write it, but I think just, man, there's a lot of really cool food songs out there. I want one, so I wrote one. And that's what came out. And, funny enough, I didn't know until well after the fact that Robert Earl Keen has a barbecue song as well. They couldn't be more different, messages, but I mean, the focal point was kind of the same. But yeah, that's always a really fun song to play, especially with the band. It's one of those I've got to play early in the set, because if the night is going well and everyone's having a good time, there's a lot of words that I need to be in a clear and sober mind for if I want to remember them. There's been times where I'll forget to play it. If I'm just by myself, someone will shout out Texas barbecue, and I'm like, give me about 15 minutes to remember the words, and I'll see if I can get back to you on it. But
that'll be me anytime I come to your gigs, mate. I'll be waiting to the Texas barbecue.
Well, if I see you at one in the future, I'll make sure to do it first thing. That way we all get a good experience out of it.
We all win. Mate, it was a funny listen. And, well, I was told, because we went to, we did the barbecue thing on the first day. I wish we had more of it, because I could eat that every day, man. But apparently I committed a crime of dipping my meat into the sauce. And apparently that's not a Texan thing. I don't know.
I mean, there's a time and place. I mean, there's certainly been times where you get just like a really dry piece of brisket, or just not the best meat in the world, and at a certain point it's just, well, we paid for it. Whatever it takes to get it down and make it taste somewhat good or somewhat better. There's a certain time and place for it. I know Texas doesn't really put a big emphasis as much on it. There's other parts of the country that do sauces really well, and that's kind of what they are like known for.
Yeah.
And in a certain way, I'm kind of jealous of that because they're able to they figured out the sauce game. I would say more than anybody. But yeah, I mean, I won't hold it against you. I mean, I won't hold it against another Texan.
I was
For
going to say, you're not going to
you
strip
know,
me of my title, hopefully, from that. I would love to do like a series where maybe me and you go out and we try and find the best barbecue or sausage joints around Texas.
we
That
could
sounds good.
certainly do it. It's such a culture that people realize there's so much money to be made on it now, and people it's in such high demand where uh I'll see videos all the time of some of the best in the state that people are in line at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning just trying to get it before it sells out for the day. I mean, it's that like people take it that seriously. I've never taken it that seriously. I mean, I like barbecue as much as the next guy, but we got things to do. I'm not standing outside at
We're busy.
8 a.m., for, a pound of brisket. But yeah, that would be fun. There's some really good, hole in the wall places that, a little bit of driving has to be done, but we can take you to some really good spots. Where did y'all eat when you got here?
That's a good question, mate. It was near, I'm trying to, Frisco sort of way, I believe.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure. We got whisked away from the airport quite quickly into a car, and everything was just new to us. So I had no clue where we were, where we went. We went to see some friends at like a hand-drawn records first. So I think that must have been like Frisco way. Either way, it was wonderful, mate. We had a lovely beer with it, some sides as well, which was interesting because the sides were like Brussels sprouts and stuff, which over here, no one wants to eat Brussels sprouts. They
Yeah.
smell, they're disgusting, but this was amazing. I think because it
Oh.
was like cooked in bacon and
I was gonna say it's America doing what it does best. Just put it in cook it in bacon grease, throw some brown sugar on it, and
oh man, yeah.
Nick
It's
Brumley of all people really makes some good Brussels sprouts like that,
oh,
like bacon and maple. He's quite the cook.
he's
So
the man.
if you
Okay.
ever find yourself on the road trip again when you're out and about, I'm sure he'd be happy to host because he loves cooking for people. He loves hosting. Uh, but I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, absolutely, mate. Yeah, but there we go. Anyway, mate, I'm digressing from talking about your music because I got hungry and started thinking about barbecue. But I think it was your song, in fact. I blame you. But there you go. But in 2025, mate, this year, been killing it. I think I counted 9 releases so far. So I'm guessing that's going to be part of the overall album that you're talking about for
Yeah.
January, Feb time.
Yeah, it was I can't even. It's 9 or 10 at this point. I'll take your word for it. It was a song a month since January, and I think the final record has totaled out to 13 or 14 songs. I can't remember. It's, slightly longer than the standard 10, but, I don't have anybody telling me I can't do it. So it's whatever. It's going to happen anyway. So, but yeah, it's all there's about 4 or 5 that will come out when the whole album releases, early next year that also good songs that I really enjoy. Man, it's all just been a bunch of really cool songs that uh kind of go all over the place thematically, which don't all quite tell the same story, but they're all a story in their own way. There's so many just little vignettes where you're dropped into a time and place, uh and those are most of the songs I love anyways, or
Yeah,
songs
yeah,
that drop you into a time and place and really make your imagination work. And the band has so much fun with these songs as well, getting to play them live. I mean, even still, I mean, there's a single we put out in, I think it was July, called Definitely Maybe, that still none of us have gotten tired of playing together. It's fun every single time we get to play it. My drummer Casey is just in love with that song. Uh, but yeah, it's a really cool collection of stuff. You know, I'm I mean, like I say, like you say, I mean, you can find about 2/3 of it out there already in singles.
Yeah.
Um, but but the ones that we're saving are uh mixed bag, a little all over the place. So I say all over the place, but but
There's organized chaos. Maybe we'll
yeah,
use that term.
absolutely. Ronnie would love it. Ronnie's gonna love it
I
or
mean, you
hate
like.
it. One of the two.
No, he loves it, mate. And funny enough, we were talking because we got a little team in the Rugged Revival. So we got me and Ronnie, and we got a couple of guys out in Virginia way, and Kenzie over in Kentucky. So she contributes a lot to what we do. And we were talking. We're like, we should put out a post in terms of what our favourite songs or artists are this year. And we got around the table, and Kenzie said, "I'm really digging this Race Ricketts, guys. Have you heard of him? I love Mr. Eisenhower." I said,
Yeah.
that was only, last week she said that. And I was like, funny enough, I'm speaking to him next week.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool because we don't talk a lot as a group as much as we should about favourite songs. I thought, because it's the end of the year, let's try and do something. So she really loves that song. Is it right if we play a little bit of that just
Sure,
for context?
yeah. It's one of my favorites.
Dear Mr. Eisenhower, thank you for the highway system. There's a girl that I've been missing, means the world to me. She's where my road dead ends, my exit sign, my sweet all frown.
Yeah, so another cool song, man. So what's the kind of story to Mr. Eisenhower?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the framing device of a love song centered around the idea of 34th President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower. I said, this is just strange enough that it would work. And I wrote that in my camper that I live in out at my uncle's place. And it was right as the wildflowers, it was in Texas, were really starting to be in bloom, about, mid-April, early May, when the weather was really starting to take a turn for the nice again. And, yeah, just, it was kind of, in that lane of just a really sweet, kind of Blaze Foley, Guy Clark, just simple little love song, not to quote my friend Niles' song at all. But yeah, it's just a really sweet little song with a really interesting framing device, with, instead of just saying all these sweet things about a girl, it's, talking to the ghost of a dead president for his contribution to the highway system and creating the interstates in the US. So it was one of those aha, I can be a smart songwriter every once in a while when I want to be. But yeah, that's kind of where that comes from. Again, I couldn't tell you the initial light bulb moment, but I don't know that, that's just one of those little flash in the pan beauties of songwriting that was up in the air. You just got to reach down and grab it,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of my favorites. It's a neat song.
She's very much into her lyrics. It's funny because they take the piss out of me slightly because I put out a post recently to say I really struggle with lyrics sometimes in songs.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more common than I realized. I thought it was just me because back in the day, back in my younger days, I was a DJ, so I was listening to a lot of instrumental stuff, old house, and I think that was the problem. And you never had to listen to lyrics, but obviously being so much into country and Americana, all the stuff that we're into now, it's a songwriting or lyrical genre. There's a story to be told. And I don't want to miss it. So I have been, like today, looking through the lyrics on Spotify, if it's uploaded. If it's not, then I'm kind of screwed. I've got to listen intently.
Really focus. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But she is particularly into her lyrics and the storytelling, and that was her favorite. So just want to shout out Kenzie and kind of put that to you, because I thought that was a cool story that she
Yeah.
put to me, man.
Well, thank you, Kenzie. I appreciate that.
There you go. I'll keep her happy for a bit. So, I mean, you talk about, some social media stuff as well. And I love to go through people's social media and kind of see how they interact and play with that. And you're doing kind of songs from the trailer and you're barefoot. I always thought, you've got to be careful, Race, because there's some foot fetish people out there.
See, it never occurred to me until last week. A friend told me, she said, "Hey, all these videos you're doing are awesome, like from the trailer, but you gotta put some shoes on." I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You can't just be showing the dogs for free." I said, "Oh man, I didn't even think about it." I said, now that's the joke. Like, in all these trying times, when people need a little bit of hope, Race is just giving out, free feet pics. So someone's got to do it. Someone's got to take the bullet and be the hero, So if that's my cross to bear, then
You're kind, mate. You're kind. And if things get hard up, mate, you can always kind of do Only Feet or OnlyFans,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. It's
I didn't know. Apparently, they also told me that there's a website called Feet Finder that
No
is
way.
specifically dedicated for that kind of premonition. So, Feet Finder, if you're looking for people to sponsor,
This
please.
episode is sponsored by. Oh man, where are we going with this podcast now? But there was a reason why I said that, honestly. No, I just love going through people's social media because it's hilarious. Some of it's great, and some of it's just straight up good music, and I just love to share it. But in terms of like looking after yourself and as an artist, we always like to ask about mental health and things like that, and it's a tough industry to kind of crack. And if you don't have good people around you, it can feel a bit lonely, I suppose. So I suppose from your point of view, mate, how do you keep yourself on the straight and narrow and kind of positive?
100%. I think about that quite a bit and have come to the conclusion that if you take care of yourself in just the life avenue of things, outside of work and music, if you just take care of yourself on the family front, call your family, go home, visit people, do things that you enjoy. I mean, for the longest time, music was a hobby until it wasn't. And so I had to find other things to do. I enjoy going to the gym. One of my favorite things to do is I love going to the movies by myself. If I have a day off, just go escape, go sit in a dark room and eat some popcorn. And, I don't care what's on. It's just nice to kind of escape for a little bit. I love, calling my brothers and say, let's go find something. It's deer season in Texas. So, I mean, that's another thing this part of the year that's a nice thing to do, to just go disappear out into the quiet for a little bit. It's the life things that if you take care of yourself there, it becomes easier stepping back into that creative, artistic brain. And you end up coming back with a lot of really good things to write about on top of it, because like I said, I live out at my uncle's place out in the camper, and, there's no neighbors. It's nice and quiet, which I really enjoy that part. But, it can be very easy to, accidentally, self-isolate. I go to town maybe once or twice a week to go get groceries. And then if I don't schedule a rehearsal or, make the intentional decision to go be with your people, do things that take care of your body and mind, then it can be very easy to just kind of backslide and, find yourself in this weird slump of, why do I feel this way? And then you start facing the truth that no one ever really wants to, and you go, oh well, there's this that, and the other that you could fix and be doing better for yourself. And I fall victim to that every once in a while, but once you figure it out, it gets easier to do over time. So, yeah, it's just take care of the life things, and then it makes the work, makes the art easier to step in and out of. You know,
Yeah.
it's that question of, if the music all went away tomorrow, what do you have?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's something that, you know, if it did, what do you spend your time doing? What do you spend your time occupying your energy with? Um, and that's a question that keeps me in check a lot of times, and just taking care of myself, taking care of my people, and uh, yeah, keeps you sane, keeps you healthy.
Great advice, mate. And yeah, I think if anyone's listening out there, like you say, just reach out to people, speak to family. And yeah, I think that's really cool advice. And it's interesting to find what works for people in different ways. And, it's funny when we were going around kind of our tour of Texas with Talbo. That's a good title, that is. He said, oh, there's this really cool thing called floating, I believe it's called. And I
Yeah.
think that would help my mental health. Yeah.
Oh
So
man, you
it
would
sounds
you
sounds
would
cool.
love that. Oh yeah. Next time y'all come down, I would make a point to take a day and go do that. That'll cure whatever's wrong with you, if you have something wrong with you.
Absolutely.
There was another fun Niles story for you. There was about a 2-week stretch that I was I was staying in Niles's guest room there in San Marcos, and, just short of paying rent, as long as I was there. And we would write, go play a show, go see a show somewhere during the day, have way too much fun in the evenings, be detrimental to our health. And then there's the San Marcos River that runs right through the middle of town, that was probably one of the best cure-all hangover cures. Just go jump in the cool river. It stays like 70 degrees year round, even in the middle of winter. I said, well,
Wow.
that's a miracle. And so just about every day we'd spend an hour, just go down to the river, jump in, cool your jets, and then do it all over again. And so it's a medicinal in more ways than not, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. It might have been somewhere that we were close to, because I think we were on the way to Green Hall that day, and Talbot was giving us the kind of the tour guide thing as we went over certain bridges, and the river was there, and he goes, yeah, that's something me and Ronnie would be into, just tying to each other to a frigging, was it like a lilo or a rubber ring? Getting a pack of beers out, getting our fat bellies out, and just floating down the river, getting pissed. I thought, that sounds like heaven to me, mate.
Yeah, that's another one of those. You ask the question, what makes Texas so special? It's those little things like that that not
It's the little
everywhere
things.
is easy to find. But yeah, the Guadalupe River was right there behind Green Hall, where y'all
Oh,
were,
there you go.
where a lot of people float. A lot of
Yeah.
people float right down that stretch, where y'all were at. So
It's hilarious, man. I'd love all that stuff. So, yeah, that's another thing to add to the list for when we come back, man. But there you go. So in terms of, we dialing it back to like a bit earlier, we were talking about people we should be listening to, people that we recommend, and we love to ask everyone that comes on the podcast, what is the best album or the best single? Not ever, because I think that's kind of a cliche question, but I think there's so much good music being released now and in the last 5, even 10 years. So let's go back 5 years within this time scale. What is the best album or single that you've personally listened to that you enjoy and people should give it a listen?
what was the time frame you gave?
So the last 5 years,
5
let's
years?
say. Yeah.
Man. That's tough. I catch some new stuff. My ear to the scanner when it comes to new music is not as attuned as it used to be. Single or album? Man, that's a great question.
Put you on the spot now.
I mean, I really do love, I mean, and I think part of it is a little bit of bias, but when full projects, I love what Nick Brumley did last year when he released Circus. I think it is such a really cool songwriter's record, with a bunch of really cool sounds and instruments that would not have been, what I first thought of when I heard the songs in their earliest form. I think I love that record so much. Um, I think part of it too, my opinion, is shaped because I got to see about half of it being worked on and was in the room watching it being created. And I hate that shapes my opinion, but gosh, I really do think that's a really special project that I know Nick doesn't give himself enough credit for. That's really special. Another good one. I tell you recently, another good one that came out, like brand new, just came out. Luke Bell had a record of the late Lake Bell had a posthumous record come out of some old songs that he had recorded that are just really good and just really special. Uh, Man, let me see if I got one more good example. Uh, Something to chew on.
Or, and sometimes this does some people, when I put you on the spot, but is there any like new up and coming artists that you think should be getting more recognized? With the Rugged Revival, we're a bit of a community and we try
For
and
sure.
platform new people and just give that spotlight sometimes. So, on the road when you're playing with people, any openers or anyone that you've seen personally would think actually they're fucking awesome and they need more exposure.
Yeah, there's a band, they're actually opening for us in tomorrow night. Uh they're a band called Tiny Joy. They're an indie alternative. They're not really country at all. I mean, they're like an indie rock group from Wichita Falls, from my part of Texas, that is just super different, and it's hard for that kind of music, or harder, I should say, for that kind of music to really thrive in a state and a listener base that is so predominantly focused on what's going on in the country and Americana, whatever you want to call it, that realm. And the sound they're making is super cool and different, that I think a lot of people from this part of the state, and this state in general, that you don't find unless you go to a Dallas or an Austin. And they're based out of, small town North Texas, that I think they've got some, and they're young. I think they're around my age, if I had to guess, around, mid to early 20s, I think. But I've been really enjoying their stuff right now, and excited to hear them open things up tomorrow night for us.
Awesome, man. So that's
Yeah.
Tiny Joy.
Tiny
that is.
Joy, yeah.
Yeah, we'll check them out, man. It's always fun because there's lots of names that pop up that we've not heard of and
Mhm.
others may not, and we go down the rabbit hole and you think actually they become your new favorite band sometimes.
Yeah. And
It's really cool.
another one, I wouldn't say they're up and coming, but they're one of my favorite bands. They're from Denton, just north of Fort Worth. It's a band called Slobberbone. They were one of the acts that ran around a lot with, the drive-by truckers, Whiskey Town, the Bottle Rockets, kind of the mid to late 90s, early 2000s alternative country scene,
Mm.
before people really knew what to do with it. The Midwest, like Wisconsin, Illinois, they were onto it before Texas ever really figured it out or really embraced it. And it's like country music meets punk rock, and it's Brent Best is the front man and songwriter of that band. And I love that group so much. They've been, kicking ass since, the 90s with that band. and they're one of my absolute favorites. And again, they're a band from my part of the world, and, from my corner of Texas. So I love getting to shout them out. There's actually a song of theirs called Lumberlung that we cut, that I cut and putting on the record that'll be out early next year that I just adore. So that's another band that, yeah, not a young dog in the game, but one of my absolute favorites.
Wow. No, I appreciate you sharing that, mate. It's
Yeah.
it's another lot I've not personally heard of. So yeah, it's interesting. And like you say, with the story that you're doing some bits with that next year. So fantastic, mate. We'll give that a spin too. So add that to our long list of of new music. So
Yeah.
it keeps us busy. So in the future, mate, I say in the future, so like, a bit weird then, but in your head, have you got some kind of plans in the next 3 to 5 years in terms of any particular goals or anything that you want to achieve?
Yeah. And I hope it's sooner rather than later. I mean, we've been hunting I've been hunting for a van. That's kind of our next step. I've got the trailer. All I need's a van that I can put the band in, and we can go just about anywhere. Because I want to go out and tour. I know more than just our little, you know, 3 to 4 state area and local haunts that we play pretty regularly. Uh, I know we'll get the van within the next year that opens us up to a lot more places being able to go. Um, for the most part, I'm still independent, booking everything, all the shows myself, uh, basically playing the role of manager, booking. And I'm at the point now where, thankfully that it's getting to be its own full-time job in its own right. And there's a lot that I end up missing, um, because of the volume of how much there is to do on the booking side.
Yeah.
And that's we're looking for help, management on that end. And we're, talking to some folks, trying to get that sorted out. Really just, this year I started the LLC to finally, also kind of hold me accountable now that it's an official, like it's a, company more or less, at least
Yeah.
on paper in the eyes of the state of Texas. But, it's really just how do we further legitimize and spread, uh, the gospel, if you will, of these songs that we really believe in. I just want to road dog it. I really just want to hit the road and take these songs to places we've never played them before. Because, social media is all well and good. I mean, it helps so much. It's never been easier to find people and really good music. But, hitting the road, making new fans in person, you'll never beat that. That's never going to go away. And so that's what I really want. And kind of looking back, it's funny, it's so easy to get down and go, man, I wish I was, why am I not further on than where I am right now? And I look back at, when I just graduated college wanting to do this full time, uh, everything that I wanted 5 years ago, just starting out or thinking I wanted, I have now. I'm in that position now. And so everything Race wanted, that long ago, he has now. And so
Yeah.
that's a win. And so it's just that mindset of keep doing what you're doing. And as long as you're seeing some sort of growth and exponential growth to where you can look back in 5 years and go, do I have everything I thought I wanted or wanted 5 years ago? Do I have it now? Whether all of them or some of them, as long as you can check some of those boxes off, that's growth. That's a win. And so, but yeah, we're just van hunting, trying to get the road show as best as we can. Cause I want to take it to places we haven't hit yet.
Hell yeah, man. That sounds really exciting. And I hope you get your van. So anyone listening, yeah, sort Race out with a van. Because
Yeah.
he's got fans in Kentucky with Kenzie. So we've places to play. So it sounds Sounds like you've got so much going on, mate. And, I hope that it all comes true for you. Absolutely. And, once you get the other states sorted, we want you to come to the UK as well. So is
Man,
there anything on that scale that you can do?
maybe a Stocktoberfest happens in y'all's neighborhood one of these years.
Yeah.
I've told Nick and Presley this so many times. It'd be so cool to go over there, and with the contacts that we have now, through y'all and some other friends, to finally do a UK run and just go, do some pub sessions and sit down and I can't remember if it was y'all I was talking to about it or not, but I didn't learn until recently that all the pubs and the bars closed down at like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
over there, which is so different from over here, to where sometimes we don't even show up to a place to have a good time until 11 p.m. When you leave at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. But no, that's the UK's always been on our list, because even before meeting y'all, I mean, we understood that there was a presence and a pretty niche, but well represented demand for the kind of music and sound that's going on over here, that they would appreciate and that y'all appreciate, across the pond. So we know it's there. We know there's rooms for it. We just need to buy the plane ticket, I guess.
Hell yeah. Well, let's do it. Let's do a Stocktober. I probably can't, steal Talbo's name. He might be done for copyright, but yeah, we'll call it something else. The Grand Old Revival is what we wanted to call our festival here.
There we go.
That's our pipe dream, mate. The Grand Old Revival, and we'll have definitely you guys come over. And yeah, like you say, the scene's a bit strange here in the UK. It's we do have pub venues, we do have proper venues as well. But yeah, the kind of nightlife scene suffered significantly the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And, with the closing time, with the price of alcohol, price of admission, places are struggling. So where we've tried to kind of help others come over, it's been great. I think it's drawn the crowds in, and it's got so many new kind of listens and new kind of fans of, the Kentucky scene, and the Kentucky guys that have come over in the last year or two. They've absolutely loved it. So yeah, I would love to get the Texas scene here, because there's definitely a place and definitely fans here. So let's do it, mate. Let's add that to our list of things. Once you've got your van, obviously, to get
There we go. Oh yeah.
we'll start off with one thing at a time. But that's cool. So what have you got planned for the rest of the year, mate? How are you wrapping things up, and what you're doing for Thanksgiving?
Yeah. What am I doing for Thanksgiving? So I'll probably kick it up to my hometown, where Alney, where my mom and dad and my grandmother still live. And I use Thanksgiving as a kind of a work day nowadays, as in, I'll show up to my grandmother's house, hang her Christmas lights, and get all her stuff down for her, because, I mean, I'm one of those, I can't just sit still for too long. I got to be doing something. And so I'll go home for a little bit, but then next Saturday, after Thanksgiving, myself, Nick Brumley, Presley Hale, and Niles is with us now. We've been doing a yearly, we call it the house show at one of our favorite venues, called Heiko Hall. Used to be a big old cottonseed mill that they bought, basically kept all the original stone and woodwork and machines in it, and turned it into a venue. They do weddings, concerts. It's a really neat place, and we turn the stage into it looks like somebody's like living room. Like, we put couches, deer heads. We turn the stage into, like you're playing into someone's home, and make it, super cozy. And it not on purpose, but it happened to just fall in line with the whole kind of week of Thanksgiving, and how, homey and cozy everyone's already feeling, or not feeling, depending on how much people enjoy being around their families. But that's a show we've been doing for the past 3 years that we always look forward to, that we get to end our Thanksgiving week with. But other than that, we just got a handful of more shows with the band that I have, and uh, some little pickup solo gigs around, get a little bit of pocket change for Christmas presents and things of that nature. But um, and other than that, that's pretty much it. It's just a foot race to the end of the year now. We've got all the albums done, finished, pretty much done. So we're just sitting and waiting now, waiting to
Awesome.
strike.
You've done the hard work, mate, and now it's time to kind of kick back, perhaps, for the rest. So that's awesome, mate. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving and Christmas. That I can't believe that's crept up on us already, almost.
Right.
I was talking like it's now, but yeah, it's like a month's time, and I'm not prepared for it at all.
I'm not either. I'm so behind.
I've got my kids and my wife on me go, what, have you sorted everything out? Have you bought all the No, I have done nothing. So, hopefully they're not listening to this, but there you go. But look, dude, it's been a real pleasure having you on. You're a true gentleman, mate. Thanks for indulging me. You're an incredible musician, and, we can't wait to see your career flourish even more than it has done so far. And, is there anything that I've missed that perhaps you want to plug or get out there for people that can perhaps support you and help you along the way, mate?
I mean, we covered a lot of it, just new records coming out early next year. We talked, if you want to see any of those free feet videos, it's all on Instagram and TikTok at Race Ricketts Music. So
drop your tip at least. Come on.
Yeah, at least send me something, but from my troubles. But yeah, that's really it. Just follow along and just listen. And the biggest thing is just, pop the music on a playlist. And, I'm never one to just say, when people say, hey, and just listen to the music. That's the biggest thing, just put it on a playlist. If it comes on, listen to the first 30 seconds. So I get the stream out of it, or,
Hell yeah.
But yeah,
and pre-save as well. I think that helps a lot.
100%.
So yeah, let's get them up, and we'll share as much as we can. We've got a playlist that we update each week, and we try and follow as many artists that we have on the podcast and just friends, and we try and do our bit. So I think if everyone out there does the same, let's boost in. Let's all have a good time. But I don't know if you've got a drink handy, mate. If not, we'll just do a quick toast. Oh, there you go. So what we do at the end of the show is just a very quick toast to say to the grit, to the grind, and to the revival. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and thank you, Race.
See y'all. I appreciate you,
Cheers,
TJ.
man.